A set of announcements very clearly draw the battle lines for AI for next year. It's around agents, reasoning, and world models. Welcome back to the AI Daily Brief. I love it when a set of stories converge in a way that really tells a bigger story than just an individual piece of news, and boy, is that the case today. We are looking at what are shaping up to be the 2025 battle lines in AI. Reasoning models, agents, and world models, all of which got some interesting news yesterday. Now, of course, at this point, you probably don't need the background on reasoning models, but effectively, this is a new approach to scaling that uses different strategies than just throwing more compute and data in the pre-training. This is clearly where OpenAI is putting its emphasis. It released O1 preview back in September. Subsequent to that, we've had Amazon announcing Nova and talking about a reasoning model in the lineup. Meta releasing Llama 3.3, also emphasizing its reasoning capabilities. Several Chinese labs have also released very competent reasoning models. And now Google has joined the party. A few days after their initial launch, Google has added a reasoning model to the Gemini 2.0 Flash lineup. The model is called Gemini 2.0 Flash Thinking Experimental. Hopefully this is just a working title, guys. And the way it describes itself is that it's the best in the lineup for, quote, multimodal understanding, reasoning, and coding. In demonstrations, it seems to perform well on puzzles involving both visual and text clues. And so far as novel features that make it stand out from the pack, the model shows its chain of logic so you can see what's going on under the hood. OpenAI co-founder Andre Karpathy wrote, "The prominent and pleasant surprise here is that unlike O1, the reasoning traces of the model are shown. As a user, I personally really like this because the reasoning itself is interesting to see and read. The models actively think through different possibilities, ideas, debate themselves, etc. The case against showing these is that it's typically a concern of someone collecting the reasoning traces and training to imitate them on top of a different base model to gain reasoning ability possibly and to some extent. The model is also extremely fast compared to rivals and available for free on Google AI Studio. This in and of itself is pretty surprising as reasoning models so far have been extremely expensive to operate compared to their non-reasoning counterparts. One interesting thing here is that Google's naming convention implies that this is just a fine-tuned version of 2.0 Flash, or perhaps simply the base model with some system prompts to ask the model to think for longer and check its work before answering. Compare that to O1, where OpenAI went out of their way to present it as an entirely new model. Sam Altman even framed the release as the beginning of a different branch of LLMs for the company. One of the big questions I think heading into next year is just how different these reasoning models are from their non-reasoning counterparts, and more particularly, whether they really do evolve in different ways going forward. Now, speaking of OpenAI, the other big news for reasoning models is that OpenAI is preparing to release the second generation of their O1 model. Funny enough, speaking of weird naming conventions, according to the information, the model is going to be called O3 to avoid intellectual property disputes with British telco O2. Sam Altman all but told us the model would be released today, so it's probably out by the time you're listening to this. The release could answer another big question surrounding reasoning models, which is whether they can show major improvements on the model layer. At the time O1 came out, it was suspected that OpenAI was pivoting to reasoning because adding training data and compute to training runs was showing diminishing returns. In the following months, it was confirmed that noticeable improvements could be made to reasoning models by getting them to think longer. Assuming O3 is a brand new model and not a tweak of O1, it should reveal whether reasoning models themselves can scale in ability, or instead if all of the improvements are only possible by scaling up inference time. The community is pretty excited to check it out. Chubby on X writes, O3 equals Orion. There is probably no more GPT 4.5 or 5. Everything is summarized in Orion, i.e. O3. Surely Orion was fed with a lot of synthetic data from O1 and now has evolved into O3. Chubby also got at the competitive dynamics in the field, writing, time to take back the crown from Google. We have one more normal episode coming on Monday before we get into end of the year specials, so I will have a chance to follow up on what exactly came out on Friday. Now, moving on to the next dimension of competition, the one that's even more obvious than reasoning models in some ways, is the race to deploy agents. Yesterday, OpenAI announced a long list of new integrations for ChatGPT. The desktop application can now access data from a gigantic list of coding platforms, as well as Apple Notes, Notion, and Quip. For now, ChatGPT can only read these apps in context. It can't take actions within those programs. But Chief Product Officer Kevin Weil made it clear that's where this is all going. He said, "We've been putting a lot of effort into our desktop apps. As our models get increasingly powerful, ChatGPT will become more and more agentic. That means we'll go beyond just questions and answers. ChatGPT will begin doing things for you." A few weeks ago, Wharton professor Ethan Malik posted, OpenAI has a lot of pieces on the board right now. Multimodal vision and voice, small, large, and reasoning models, image and video creation, code execution, mobile and desktop apps, web search, some agentic stuff. Very curious when it will be glued together into a singular thing. Interestingly, going back to this quote from Kevin Weil, It seems extremely notable to me that he says ChatGPT will begin doing things for you. This indicates pretty clearly to me that we have the singular thing, that it is and has always been ChatGPT. It's just that over time, ChatGPT is going to be a lot more and frankly different from what ChatGPT originally was. A couple days ago, we also got an update from Salesforce on their agent platform, AgentForce. Just 3 months after announcing AgentForce in September, the company announced AgentForce 2.0. They write, "This release introduces a new library of pre-built skills and workflow integrations for rapid customization, the ability to deploy AgentForce in Slack, and advancements in agentic reasoning and RAG. These advancements will enable companies to scale their workforce with customized agents capable of handling complex multi-step tasks with even more precision and accuracy." And if you need a sense of just how important this is to Salesforce, go check out the piece in the information. AI is Mark Benioff's friend and foe. It talks about how Salesforce is facing increasing competition from companies like Sierra, which are bringing agents to market, and in fact, in some cases, winning business away from Salesforce. The final vector of competition that I want to discuss today is this new world model approach. These models are trained in a fundamentally different way to LLMs. Where LLMs are trained on a large corpus of text, image, and voice data, world models are trained by observing real or simulated worlds. We've seen a few working prototypes of this style of AI, with 2 big examples coming out of Fei-Fei Li's World Labs and another coming out of Google DeepMind. A third big player is Decart, who released a model in October capable of generating a fully playable Minecraft-like game. While the demo was buggy and rudimentary, it clearly made investors sit up and pay attention. TechCrunch reports that the company has now raised their Series A. The startup raised $32 million at a $500 million valuation. CEO and co-founder Dean Leedersdorf said, "The company wants to compete at the highest level, building a, quote, fully vertically integrated AI research lab alongside enterprise and consumer products." He said the aim was to create what he's calling a kilocorn. In other words, a $1 trillion company. You gotta love ambition, man. Part of the reason that people are so interested in world models, especially recently, is the sense that perhaps their understanding of physics could be something that allows them to make more fundamental breakthroughs. Still, in many ways, this class of models feels closer to where GPT-based LLMs were a few years ago, demonstrating some fascinating emergent properties, but still nowhere near the full scale that they're going to reach. Along those lines, a group of researchers across 19 different universities have just revealed something they are calling a comprehensive physics simulation platform. Named Genesis, the researchers claim the platform is, quote, capable of simulating a wide range of materials and physical phenomenon. Researcher Zhao Jian writes, "After a 24-month large-scale research collaboration involving over 20 research labs, a generative physics engine able to generate 4D dynamic worlds, powered by a physical simulation platform designed for general-purpose robotics and physical AI applications. We aim to build a universal data engine that leverages an upper-level generative framework to autonomously create physical worlds, together with various modes of data, including environments, camera motions, robotic task proposals, reward functions, robot policies, character motions, fully interactive 3D scenes, open-world articulated assets, and more, aiming towards fully automated data generation for robotics, physical AI, and other applications." So basically, Genesis, as I understand it, can be used as both a robotic simulation platform and as a photorealistic rendering platform. The platform accepts natural language prompts and can be used as a data engine to produce a range of different modalities of synthetic or simulated data. In the immediate term, it's a massive boost to robotics training in terms of speed and accuracy. It could lead to immediate improvements in that field and possibly even unlock more complex use cases. Roboticist Ben Duffy commented, quote, "With Genesis, you'll be able to train a locomotion policy that's deployable in real world in less than 26 seconds. That sentence tells us about a future we are not ready for." For reference, that's 430,000 times faster than the previous leading physical simulators, to give a sense of how dramatic this change could be. One of the other potentials is that a platform like this could produce the gigantic datasets required to scale up world models. Currently, they've been trained using either datasets from self-driving cars or by observing video games. There are a few projects strapping camera rigs to hikers in order to gather real-world data, but if this platform is as performant as the researchers claim, we could soon see near-infinite synthetic datasets available to train the next generation of world models. Effectively, all of the response to this is some version of wow. Viewing their announcement video, AI evangelist Linus writes, "This is all generated and simulated in 4D. Mind blown emoji, mind blown emoji, mind blown emoji." Bilawal Sidhu writes, "Think instant physics accurate environments, camera paths, and character animations, all from natural language." Mila writes, "What the? This Genesis project is like something out of a sci-fi movie. I mean, generating entire 4D worlds with physics simulations? That's mind-blowing. I'm just sitting here stunned, trying to wrap my head around how this could change everything from robotics to video games." And I think, friends, if we had to sum this up, if you thought that 2025 was going to be any slower than 2024 and 2023 had been, boy, do you need to think again. That's going to do it for today's AI Daily Brief. Appreciate you listening as always. And until next time, peace.